experience of anything close to drugs was, hearing about a Muslim guy who was smoking drugs at the age of 19, and that was like a, whoa, he had a Rizzler on him, that was a big thing back in the days. He had a Rizzler. We didn't even know what some of these things. In fact, one of us, was sitting in the canteen once, and a guy come up to one of the brothers, and he goes, have you got a Rizzler? And the brother turns around and he goes, sorry, I don't know who he is. That's how, we didn't even know what some of these terms were. But today, you get all different types, they're dealing with all different types of drugs and stuff. And again, this is all Muslims. And again, all these other things, the drugs, the sex, and all the other things that goes along with it. And what you find in the media, there's lots of discussion. How do we solve these problems? How are we going to solve this problem of underage drinking? We've seen the pictures of these girls falling out of these nightclubs, completely legless, puking all over the streets. You see the guys, I was in central London driving back from work the other night, and you see some guy walking across the road. He just fell over and he's just out on his face. And people just driving past him, walking around him, just completely ignoring him. So they're trying to say, we've got such a problem in society today. We've got so much problem amongst our youth, with these gangs, with these knives, with these drinking and this sex. What do? How do we solve this problem? What should we do? So you get all these guys that are getting paid, God knows hundreds of thousands of pounds, coming up with some absolutely ridiculous things. So what do they say? Let's legalise drugs. Yeah, let's legalise drugs. So rather than having to deal in the corner, watching over your back in case who comes, set up your shop. Have your nice little counter, put your table out. Put your little displays out. Your rock, your skunk, your hash browns, put them out, put your little labels next to them with the price. Do you want an ounce, do you want a half an ounce, or whatever. They want to legalise drugs, and they think by legalising drugs, somehow we'll solve the problems. Alcohol, how are we going to deal with alcohol? How are we going to stop youth from drinking alcohol? I know, let's push up the price by 10 pence. Somehow, magically, everyone's going to say, oh, 10 pence now, too expensive to try my local cider from Sainsbury's. So that's going to stop them. Knives, what they're going to do, let's have a knife amnesty day. So we're going to get all these gangsters coming into a police station handing in their machetes and their meat cleavers and their samurai swords, thinking that after they've done this, they walk away, I'm a changed man now, I've given him my sword and I've given him my machete. This is not going to happen again. And this is some of the ridiculous ideas that are coming out by people today about how we're going to solve this problem. What do Muslims say about how do we solve these problems? Go to any of your elders. How do you solve the problem of drugs? How you solve it? Send them back home, get an arranged marriage. How do you solve the problems of alcohol? Send them back home, get an arranged marriage. How do you solve the problem of teenage pregnancies? Send them back home, get an arranged marriage. How do you solve the problem of lack of education and literacy? Send them back home, get an arranged marriage. This is the mentality, unfortunately, a lot of our elders carry. How do we deal with these problems? Send them back home, get an arranged marriage. And then I was speaking to one brother from Pakistan, he was telling me a lot of these guys that are drug dealers, and for whatever reason they've had to escape, maybe they've had a fight, they've shot someone, they've killed someone, or the police wants them for dealing in drugs, and they go back home to Pakistan, they get arranged marriage, and they become even bigger gangsters over there selling their drugs. Setting up their gangs and stuff like that. And so what you find is that Muslims and non-Muslims alike have got this real problem of dealing with this drink and the drugs, like the clips we saw. So the talk was about escapism. And really, if we want to solve these problems and we want to look at these issues, we've really got to understand why do people do these things? And what is it about these things that people like? And really, if you ask these guys who do these things, take any of your local druggies, find a druggie on the corner of the street and ask him, just ask him one simple question. What is your life about? Just sit down and just tell me for 2 minutes, just tell me what your life is about. Tell me what your meaning is life about. In one sentence, if they can put together a sentence, if they're not too high, just tell me what you think your life is about. And what do they say? My life's about enjoyment. Simple as. When you ask anybody in society, what is your life about? What do they say? It's about making myself happy. And that's a simple fact. People today, their point of view of life and their purpose in life is nothing more than what? Getting high and getting happy. And really, there was a Pepsi advert that came out many years ago, and it's still around today. Pepsi Max. What was its slogan? Live life to the max. And then why was this advert so popular with people? It's because it personifies the very attitude they carry. Their whole point of view of life and the whole meaning of their existence on this face of this earth was to do what? To live life as the max. To smoke as much drugs and to get as high as you can. To sleep around with as many women as you can. Yeah? To steal and to fight with as many gangs, as many people as you can. And this is what life is about for these people. This is what life is about for these people. So is it any wonder now, yeah, if your life is about what? Enjoying yourself. If your life is about what? Making yourself happy, fulfilling your desires, how are you going to do that? What's going to make you happy? What's going to fulfill your desires? What are you going to do? You're going to smoke drugs till you get high. So high that you don't even conscious. Sleep around as many women as you can. You know, deal with as many drugs as you can to make the money so you can buy your Beamers and your clothes. Because this is what your life's about. Your life's about what? It's about getting high. So you find all these slogans, you know, live life to the max. You've got all these books and these programs that talk about what? 100 things to do before you die. You know, none of them is go and hajj, you know, grow a beard, you know, recite and you know, memorize as many hadith and ayats from the Quran as possible. No, what are they? You know, jump off a mountain in South Africa, you know, swim with great white sharks in, you know, in the Atlantic Ocean. You know, they got all these books and all these things that people do. You know, 100 things to do before you die. You know, you might have cancer, your doctor might have been telling you, you know, you've got 6 months to live. What do they do? You know, let's buy this book, 100 things to do before I die. I'm going to go parachuting. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, you got this work culture. It's not just related to youth, even in the city. Anyone who works in the city, what's their attitude? You know, work hard, you play hard. So you're going to put in a 50-hour week at work. I'm going to put a 50-hour shift in the pub. And that's what life is. You know, you work hard and then you play hard. And that's what motivates people. So is it any wonder if this is the attitude people carry? If you think, I'm here to do what? I'm here to live life to the max. I'm here to please my bodily functions and to my bodily senses. I'm just going to do whatever I want to make myself happy. So if I want a girl, I'm going to get a girl. If I want to get high to relax and to chill out, then that's what I'm going to do. Because why? The point of view of life I have is to do what? To live life to the max. And there's a second reason why I think people are really into this drug culture and this alcohol. And this is an even more fundamental reason. And to be honest, I really think it comes down to they're so miserable. They live such a meaningless life. Yeah? The only way they can get through every single day is to get high and to not even imagine the life they're living. Their lives are so miserable. Their lives are so empty and so shallow that they can do nothing more than to, you know, how am I going to escape from this miserable, shallow life that I live in today? Let me just get high and then hopefully I'll be so knocked out I won't even have to think about it. And so that's what they do. They get high, they space out, you know, they fall asleep and they wake up the next day. Wake up, suddenly realize their lives are so miserable, so shallow, so meaningless. What do they do again? Get high again. And it's an endless circle that they go through in their lives. They wake up, they realize how stupid, how meaningless their life is. How are they going to do, what they're going to do to escape from it. My life's miserable. What have I got in my life? What have I got to look forward to in my life? Nothing. So what am I going to do? Let me get high. You know, I'll get high and I'm just spaced out and I won't have to worry about any of these issues. And this is the reality of society today. You know, look at the biggest pop stars and these movie stars. Yeah? We're not just talking about common. People who have achieved stuff in society, who have achieved the quote-unquote American dream. Yeah? These are the biggest people on, you know, in all these drug rehab centres and alcoholic rehab centres. Now look at Amy Winehouse and people like that. Why? As much money as they have, as much wealth as they have, they've realised what? Their lives are so empty, so shallow, so meaningless, the only thing they can try and do is try and escape from it. By what? By drugs and by alcohol. So you got people like Mariah Carey trying to commit suicide a few years ago in a hotel. Yeah, how many of these actors and actresses have been taking drugs? You know, George Michael and the other likes. You know, the list is so long you can't even begin to describe how many of them there are. But they're all taking these drugs to try and escape from their miserable lives. And this is what it's really about. Like the title says, escapism. What it comes down to, their lives are so miserable, it's so empty and so shallow. What else have they got to look forward to? What have they got to look forward to? So what do? How are they going to escape from this? Take drink and take drugs. And there's a classic one, you know, there was a guy at work and who was going through a divorce. You know, his wife left him for another man or another woman, not sure what, but He was going through a hard time, so I was trying